And when you retire, I'm going to say, Jay Leno, I always loved him.
Down. Oh, this is Frank Johnny's box. Oh. When he dies, I'm going to put him in this.
Johnny Carson is literally gripping the desk, and the entire studio is left in stitches at once when Rickles roasts Johnny.
You're saying that I can't act?
A fair statement, yes. I would say that. Let me put it the other way. You stink. You are not an actor. You are a multi-millionaire in what you do.
Here are 9 times Don Rickles walked onto The Tonight Show and left everyone completely helpless with laughter. Starting with number 9, Don Rickles goes full roast mode.
Being a little old to wear Buster Brown outfits? Nah. Bless you, old-timer. You know, when they know it's over, they turn on you.
By 1983, Johnny Carson had been behind that desk for nearly 2 full decades. And on May 6th, Rickles walked out ready to make sure everyone knew exactly what he thought about that. The target was Carson's wardrobe. Rickles described it as the sort of outfit that belonged to a rather different childhood.
19 years, John. That's right. Don't milk it anymore. Walk away.
Get out, Wallace. Well, you see, I try to do one show for a long time rather than 6 or 7 like you for a month or 2, and then...
A line that landed hard enough that Carson's own composure cracked almost immediately. 19 years of late-night television, and the best review Rickles could offer was that the host dressed like a kid who ordered from a catalog nobody else had heard of. Ed McMahon was the other guest, which meant Rickles had a second target ready the moment Carson tried to compose himself.
Now, you don't have to laugh, Ed. You got the job. It's okay. But I love you, Ed. The dinner party at your home was so lovely.
Thank you.
Victoria, a lovely dinner party.
Thank
All
you.
the celebrities were there.
Yeah.
It was so great, really.
Thank you.
He invited me once to go to the beachcomber at the beach to suck sand for a half hour.
McMahon spent most of the segment holding a straight face, while Rickles alternated between mocking his loyalty to the show and questioning what his role actually contributed. But the audience always sensed the genuine affection underneath those jabs, the years of shared history running just below the surface, and that warmth is what kept the insults from ever landing as cruelty. The Russia trip story sent the segment fully off the rails. Rickles was working through a travel anecdote, but it kept getting derailed by his own refusal to let Carson sit there looking dignified, and the result was a stretch of television where a mundane vacation story became a vehicle for relentless commentary on Carson's wealth, his lifestyle, and the gap between how Carson presented himself and how Rickles chose to see him.
I mean, he's one of the big spenders. The last time I was at your house, I think it was 1812, when Washington was getting his wig fixed. But I know your life, and, you know, now that we're face-to-face after 2 years, I never liked you. I don't give a...
Where you go? You got it made now? Who
That's
cares?
right. No, I don't have it made now because I know what you have in the bank, but which will be taken away from you shortly.
Number 8. Rickles turns everyone into a punchline. The noted outrage at how much they had achieved. Sinatra was a recurring reference point throughout Rickles' career. The two were genuinely close friends, which made the ribbing about Sinatra's behavior land differently than it would have coming from anyone else. The improvisational layering was what made this appearance stand out. Rickles would start on one target, find a connection to a second, drag that person's name into the bit, and by the time the joke resolved, the audience had traveled through 3 premises and 3 personalities without losing the thread. Johnny Carson couldn't keep a straight face and lost it every single time. Marriage grounded the segment, with Rickles weaving self-deprecating stories about his home life alongside the bigger-name jabs. The combination worked because it established him as something other than purely aggressive. He ran himself through the same machine he ran everyone else through, and that balance is a large part of why the act held up across 3 decades on the same stage. Number 7. Rickles Rex, the talk show formula. The May 21st, 1974 appearance with Michael Landon is one of the more revealing segments in the run because of what Rickles did to the standard talk show structure. Landon came out with material prepared, actual anecdotes he was ready to tell, a professional agenda for how the conversation might go. And Rickles spent the segment systematically dismantling every attempt to execute that plan.
The jacket is shorter. Thank you so much, Ed. Thank you. I spoke to your daughter, Linda.
Yes.
She wants the allowance increased. Has a lovely daughter that goes to summer camp, and she's 42.
A lot of people find it difficult to accept compliments.
Right. I think you find it more in our entertainment world, more so than Ed. Huh?
That's right, Don. You're right.
What do you
Everything you say is right.
Why don't you go and milk a Clydesdale for a half hour?
Milk a Clydesdale?
That's right. You don't have to play it back. You're annoying me. I happen to love Johnny, and you're turning on me.
The moment Landon would set up a story, Rickles would find the angle that made the preparation itself the punchline. And what remained was something far more entertaining than anything either guest could have scripted. The Carson dynamic in this one carried an edge that was specific to Rickles' working-class persona. He returned repeatedly to the contrast between his own background and Carson's status. The Nebraska roots, the desk, the way late-night television had made Carson into something approaching an institution. Rickles played the role of the guy from outside who refused to treat any of that as sacred, and the argument he made suggested that there was another side of Carson worth seeing. Carson kept breaking into laughter. Breaking the fourth wall was constant throughout.
No, Ed McMahon is a good guy, and he sits here every night on that couch, night after night, saying, "Oh, Johnny, you're marvelous." And then goes out to Marina Del Rey. Dave Tebbett's off camera, so I have to do this. Hi, Dave. Dave Tebbett is a good guy. We all talked about him. You got 3 sets, I got 2, so you're leading 2-0 going into the third quarter. You know, I live in New York, and you're in Nebraska with your mom and dad saying, "I don't have any more money." His mother and father are sitting on the porch in Nebraska going, "Why doesn't Johnny call?" And his father is not that way. Your dad is what, about 6'2"?
No.
Your father, try to think.
Yes.
See, when you get that rich, you forget the family. He's so busy in court all day long going, "Oh, who wants to sue?"
Rickles addressed the camera, called out the production, and treated the structure of the show itself as one more target. A running commentary on the artificiality of the talk show format delivered from inside it, which was a trick almost nobody else could pull off without the whole thing collapsing. Number 6. Rickles turns the panel into chaos. The June 9th, 1973 appearance brought together Rickles, Gleason, and a comedian to target simultaneously. The segment opened with formal interview and decided to
on television. If you could come out and do what you do here on the Tonight Show, you could have a top 10 show anytime in the week.
No, I think...
DeLuise was quick enough to push back, which meant the segment occasionally threatened to become a genuine debate before Rickles steered it back toward the kind of chaos he own biography. The Navy stories came out of his actual service during the Second World Strife. He had wanted Special Services, the branch that handled entertainment for the troops, but ended up as Seaman First Class. And the way he converted those experiences into comedic material carried the specific quality of someone who had processed them thoroughly enough to turn them into something entirely different.
Up in Bel Air and say, "It's your serve, Harold." We people have to work, you understand? That's why I'm on this, for the $350 to cover the new room we're going to put on the house.
$320.
$320. It's $350 for me, otherwise I leave.
No, this is now your man. You take. Carson's cigarette box. Oh, look, it's not. I brought Carson's cigarette box.
Did you get engaged, Ed?
Yes, I did. Sorry.
Anyway, did you see the girl you got engaged to?
Certainly have.
Oh, God. It's like the front of a bad bus. No, man, she's a pretty girl.
Sinatra came up repeatedly, as he did in nearly every appearance. The friendship between Rickles and Sinatra was genuine and long-standing, and the jokes always carried that weight. The audience understood they were watching someone who knew his target well enough to know exactly which angle to approach from. Rickles credited Sinatra and Carson together as the two figures who kept his name in the conversation across the decades. And in 1978, that gratitude surfaced through the comedy in ways that made the segment feel less like performance and more like a dispatch from a long shared history. McMahon took the secondary position, receiving the same treatment he always did: the weight, the background, the role on the show. While Carson sat at the desk doing what he always did with Rickles, which was hold on and see where it went while constantly struggling to stop laughing.
He was even nervous because he came to me and said, and I said,
You are a powerhouse, and Frank, I love you.
Number 4. Rickles makes everyone part of the joke. By 1990, Rickles and Carson had shared that stage for a very long time, and the July 2nd appearance carried the weight of that history in ways that earlier segments simply could not. Rickles framed the relationship using the word musketeers, a characterization of himself and Carson as something like co-conspirators, a pair who had been doing this together long enough that the distinction between guest and host had become largely ceremonial.
You guys, I haven't been on in quite some time.
Yes.
Because Freddie told me you didn't want humor. And it's good to be back with you. Both of you are good friends. And why don't we're the Musketeers. Why don't we go back to the old days in the Copacabana with broads?
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
No.
Forget the money. Now you got a big estate. You play tennis. He gets up in the morning and goes, do I own anything? Don't be that way. I haven't been on in 30 years.
Well, you milk the...
30 years. I mean,
well, you used up most of your time bowing.
Well, okay.
I've never seen anybody milk an audience like that. I mean...
Would you talk a little louder? Hey,
you're
both the same age. Don't knock it.
Well, we're moving along.
That's
we're
right.
moving along.
Ed, you look great.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.
The Asia trip material started as a travel story about his 25th wedding anniversary and ended with jokes about the absurdity of being Don Rickles abroad. His wife Barbara appeared in the story as the person around whom the chaos somehow organized itself, and the jokes about their relationship had the comfortable quality of material that had been lived rather than written. When he claimed to have served in wars that did not exist, the line worked precisely because the audience knew enough of his actual history to feel the gap between the real biography and the exaggerated one.
We went to the Far East, went to Asia.
That's
I
the
was
Far
there.
East.
I know that. Yeah. Is this going to be a test or a little conversation? I know, and all I saw is little Chinese guys walking around. Your shirts are burned. But,
You must have seen more than that.
no, I saw more than that. We went to, I said to the wife, Barbara said, and everybody does, I have a wife, that's her name, Barbara said. Barbara said, listen, I'm tired of hearing the stories. You arrange the trip. You want to go away. We have 2 children, God bless them. I can't handle everything. Right. So you arrange it all. That's where she talks. I married a Valium, you know. And marvelous service. I mean, it was 17 hours, the flight to Hong Kong. And that was the first thing. We got in, and the wife said, go to sleep, don't eat, you don't need food, watch the diet, bum, bum, bum. Just have a look. And the guys were bowls of rice and boom, and I was eating, and she kept saying, you're overdoing it.
The audience interaction in this appearance had a different register than any other segment. Rickles went after the front rows, the band, and the production staff, and the energy it generated was specific to a performer who understood that a live studio audience was not a spectator to the comedy, but a participant in it. That instinct, making the room itself part of the act, he had carried from the nightclubs of the 1950s, and it had never stopped working. He had the entire studio in stitches.
But what I do is I take... Hey, it doesn't matter what it means. They laugh. That's
right.
why I'm here.
That's right. If it works, it works. What do you care?
What, does that have a reason?
No, of course
the
not.
front row going...
So we're in Hong Kong.
So we're in Hong Kong.
In the Kowloon section.
At the Kowloon section.
Right.
And we took the ferry over and we saw more Chinese people all running around going... All right.
Number 3. Rickles brings on the classic chaos. That is to say, with enough apparent affection that Carson could never quite decide whether to be offended or grateful. The term hockey puck was one of Rickles' most identifiable signatures. He had developed it years earlier in the nightclubs, when he started using it on audience members who were giving him trouble, and the phrase stayed because it had a quality that almost no other insult shared. It sounded aggressive without actually being anything, which meant it was clean enough to use anywhere while still landing like a characterized as either deeply sincere or completely automatic. The point being that either interpretation was equally. Number 2. Don Rickles refuses to stay on topic. The March 4th, 1976 appearance produced one of the most quoted moments in the entire run, and it began with the outfit. Carson came out that night wearing something that Rickles clocked instantly. He spent the next several minutes describing what that outfit exactly looked like in considerable detail, while Carson attempted to maintain the dignity of the host position, and Rickles treated that attempt as additional material.
As he's going to talk to the animals, talk to the birds. It'll be wonderful. You just sit with him and hum to animals and birds all day long. And you'll get a day job and go back to Chicago and do what you do best. Carry the 2, 5 and 5 is 6, 7 and 7 is 14, and that's $40. Okay, you can now go to Mexico. There's notes.
Robert Blake and Bob Hope were the other guests, and Rickles used them as props. He set them up as examples of serious, accomplished performers and then used that framing to contrast his own perceived standing in the industry. That joke had Carson cracking up with laughter. It worked because the audience understood that the self-deprecation was itself a kind of performance. Nobody on that set believed Rickles was actually bothered by any of it. Carson had tried to ask a serious question about a dramatic role Rickles was preparing for on Medical Center, and that attempt became the segment's running thread. Every time Carson steered toward the actual topic, Rickles found a way to redirect towards something that had nothing to do with the original question, but to do with what was actually funny in the room at that moment. The improvisational skill required to sustain that over a full segment, constantly blocking the interviewer while keeping the audience completely with you, is what separates the 1976 appearance from most of what appeared on that stage during the same era.
I just started the show. I picked my box up off my desk that I've had for 9 years. My box is broken. They told me you broke it on the show last night.
Well, I really...
You're right. Were you in the middle of something?
No, I was just hanging around waiting for a ship to come in.
Did you break this box?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
Do you know how long I've had this box on the show? About 9 years. I brought this out from New York. Look at this. That is very expensive.
That's a darn shame. I'd give it to Tony Randall for a wedding gift.
And I want to know what you plan to do about this.
Well, I plan to wrap your hand in it. What do you want from me?
Number 1. Rickles has Johnny Carson breaking up with laughter. The 11th anniversary episode of The Tonight Show, which aired on October 2nd, 1973, had Don Rickles along with the guests, Burt Reynolds and Buddy Hackett. And before the night was over, Dean Martin had appeared as well, alongside the mighty Carson Art Players and Carol Wayne, a lineup that made the episode feel more like a celebration than a broadcast. And Rickles arrived ready to conduct the entire evening on his own terms. Reynolds and Hackett were formidable targets. Reynolds was at a peak of cultural visibility in 1973, and Hackett was a comedian who could give as good as he got, which meant the dynamic on that couch was more volatile than the standard Rickles appearance. The name-calling and career questioning that Rickles applied to both of them had the specific tension that came from roasting people who were watching you carefully for an opening to turn it around, and that alertness in the room was what gave the segment its charge.
And thank you so much, Burt. Burt is lonely. But, you know, it's a very difficult thing when Burt Reynolds, who's a very glib guy, a Buddy Hackett, one of our great comedy minds, and Ed McMahon, who's at the end of the couch, annoying Buddy now saying, "Can't you use me in Vegas?" I mean, so when the good Lord, when we were both born and we came from our mother's God, looked down and said, "Make him rich and make him struggle." And it turned out that way. I'll be off in a minute, Burt, and then you can show this outfit. But, I like Burt. You know, the first, when you were away...
Don't you like me?
Huh? Honestly?
Yes.
No.
The Sahara story was the moment that lifted the appearance above everything else on this list. Rickles talked about a period performing at the Sahara in Las Vegas, and within that story was the clearest explanation he ever gave on television of what his act actually required. The aggression, the calculation, and the precise awareness of who was in the room and what they were ready to receive. The glimpse it gave of the person behind the performance, someone who had built this entire apparatus, and who was grateful enough for the chance to do it that the gratitude surfaced even through the insults, is what made this story work more than the jokes and comedy itself.
11 years ago, I was in the lounge in the Sahara Hotel. Yes. And I owe that to a guy called Stan Irwin, and my manager, Joe Scandori. And I was in the lounge, and we used to do a show at 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's the first time I met you, and you sat at the far bar. Now, truth? Now, they think I'm kidding.
We had met before in New York, before you got to the Sahara.
That's right, when you had the daytime show, hit the clock, win a cookie. Hit the dime, hit the buzzer. What was that dumb show you had?
Well, it was called Do You Trust Your Wife?
And you sat at the back lounge, and I got so nervous, as I am tonight. For the first time in the history of The Tonight Show, I say with honesty, I am nervous. Nervous, not in the sense of worrying about my security as a performer, but because it's like an anniversary, a special night. I'm being very sincere about this. And I must say to you, Johnny, on behalf of my family and myself and all your fans, I thank you for making my family and yours truly get a little bit up the ladder, and I appreciate it.
Well, you didn't have to say that.
By 1973, Rickles had been doing this long enough to know that the relationship with Carson was central to his career, that this stage, this audience, and this network had given him a platform that matched who he actually was. He said as much, and Carson let him say it, which is itself a measure of how much the friendship between them had become something real beneath all the performance. Nobody could handle Don Rickles on The Tonight Show, but Johnny Carson came closer than anyone, and he could barely compose himself as he repeatedly kept breaking into laughter every time Rickles appeared on the show. And that's probably why they kept calling him back for 30 years. If you remember watching Don Rickles on The Tonight Show, drop a memory in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.